Can I give you a compliment? Many times when I'm feeling down, what I do is I go on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I watch you on various talk shows, and I have a good laugh.
Oh, that's nice.
You're a very good talk show guest, I believe.
Disney World.
Well, there you go.
Down in Florida. You ever go there?
I've never been there, no.
Well, you don't have, you're barren. Not barren, but you
That's
have
right,
no
I'm
children.
barren.
I'm sorry.
That's right, I'm barren. I'm infertile.
Only
That's right. I
ladies.
can't possibly have children.
You hate me now because of the stuff about your testicles. You know what's a funny thing about talk shows? Because, you know, I've done them for 20 years. And 20 years ago, when I went on a talk show, you would talk and then it would just evaporate into nothingness. And now it's forever.
Right.
I have where I'm saying how Cosby is the greatest guy in the world. You know what I mean? And they don't know what year it's from.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
I'm not exactly sure what brought you to being a stand-up comic, because you described, like, even in school, you weren't the class clown or anything like that.
Not
at all.
No. First of all, I couldn't afford the shoes.
Right, to be the class clown.
The big shoe.
And what about the red nose? How much does that cost? There was no money in the family.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, you that's all right, you can go now. That was a great line. You can't do better than that. You decide to become a comic, you're working at it, and you're working, I guess it was in L.A. at this point. A Johnny Carson scout sees you in a club.
Johnny Carson had already announced his retirement.
Right.
And Johnny Carson, as you know, used to be able to anoint comedians.
You became instant financial success.
So in my mind, he only had 6 months to go. I said, I'm going to be the last comedian to be anointed by Johnny Carson.
Right.
So Jim McCauley would come to the show, you know.
He's the talent scout for the Tonight Show, yeah.
And then afterwards, one time he came up, he said, first time he said, I didn't like it, but I was really drunk. So like,
great. It's my whole life.
And then one time I'm on stage, I look over, he's necking with a girl. I'm like, good God. So then finally he goes, listen, you're a J comic. And I go, well, what's that mean? Because Jay Leno was doing it Monday night. You know, he was the guest host.
Oh.
So he's like, yeah, you're more of a J comic than whatever that means.
J comic.
Meaningless nonsense.
Right.
So I go, no, I think I'm a Johnny comic. That's what all my friends say, you know? And he's like, no, Jay. And then he's like, oh, besides. And then for some reason whispers it. He goes, Jay will be taking over, you know? I go, I know. It was in the paper last year.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah. So I don't want to
Giving
be
you top secret info.
I don't want to be a Jay comic. So anyways, he said, if you do good on Jay, Johnny will watch at home, you know, which again,
an audition.
Knew was a lie. Like, you know, Johnny's at home. Hey, I wonder how Jay's doing.
Yeah,
so,
Johnny, by the way, wanted time off. He wasn't sitting at home watching the Tonight Show.
He was on a yacht with bombastic Bushkin.
And his wife.
And his beautiful wife, Alexis. Yeah. I ended up doing my first on Dave, and that was better.
Well, there was a real bond. Letterman was your guy.
Letterman was my career guy.
I mean, he once said, if we could have Norm on every week, we would have. And then he said, the ultimate compliment, there may be people as funny as Norm, but I don't know anybody funnier.
Well,
that had to floor you, right?
Yeah,
that meant something to you.
That'll buckle your knees.
Ladies and gentlemen, could be the funniest man in the world. We got the paperwork on that.
And he always called you Norm Macdonald, like he exaggerated your name, whatever it was. But you went on there and you did really well.
You picked up on that.
Yeah, he would always be Norm Macdonald is here, and I'm like, old MacDonald is here. I didn't know what it was.
Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald.
It was such a genuine moment when you were the last stand-up comic to perform on Dave's show. Sometimes with the way you are, the way you carry yourself, I don't see you as an overly emotional person. And I was really moved, honestly, when you were the last stand-up comic to perform on Letterman. You went out and did a set, and then you turned to Dave and you said a couple of heartfelt things, and you were moved to tears. And I was really moved by that, because I didn't know you felt that way about Letterman, and you were so complimentary to him, and you kind of let down the comedy thing, which I thought was so strong, because when you're doing stand-up, you know,
it's false by nature.
Yes. And then all of a sudden you kind of opened up as to who you were for real.
Yeah.
And you showed Letterman how much you cared about him.
I'd just like to say, I know that Mr. Letterman is not for the mawkish, and he has no truck for the sentimental, but if something is true, it is not sentimental, and I say in truth, I love you.
Oh, my God. And it was really genuinely moving. And I think it's because you feel like, wow.
Well, also it was accidental. I didn't go out there with that plan.
Was that? Oh, no, but you wanted to say something to
I wanted
him.
to say something. I didn't know quite. It wasn't that. You know?
Right.
It was some stupid thing I'd written. You know, that sounded just written and fake. And then when I started to say it, I was like, oh, this is going to sound. I'll just talk. You know.
Did Letterman say anything to you afterwards, after the show was over, or there was no discussion of it?
He whispered in my ear something that.
You want to keep private?
Should keep private. But
he said something to you that was special toward you.
Yeah, very special, very special.
Because
and you know, the night after that, Bob Dylan, who holds a special place in my life, was also on the show. Those 3 days were
emotional.
Were very emotional for me. Yeah, as much as Saturday Night Live holds memories for me. And David Letterman, although I have no backstage experience with him at all, you
right?
know, just things he's talked to me about in between commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always felt so close to it. I really felt like that they talk about father figures. That he was my father figure.
Oh my God, Norm! Very funny, Norm. And thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Norm Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen. That was very sweet, Norm. Good night, everybody.